Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our group coaching call. Happy New Year. Hope your new year is off to a fantastic start. This is our second group coaching call. So I do the same thing for both group coaching calls, just offer one at night and one in the daytime. I know we have lots of different schedules and time zones all over the United States. So I hope that you're able to join one or catch the replay. So today we are talking about our New Year's goals. And I have a lot of tips. I have some slides to go over, and I would love to hear from you. So whether you're watching this live or watching the replay, I would love to hear your thoughts and your ideas as you are preparing your New Year's plan, your New Year's goals. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let's see if I can share the right slide. Okay. There we go. All right. So let's see. Melissa, you're on live. Welcome, Melissa. Are you able to see my slides, the 2026 goal setting?
Yes, I can.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, thanks for being here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and present. All right, so if you're watching live or watching the replay, go ahead and grab a pen and a notebook if you'd like to take some notes. We're going to be, and I know Tina went through this last time and she took time to journal about some of these things. So love to hear your thoughts and ideas and as they're coming to you or as you're taking time to reflect. So this is our 2026 goal setting guide. You are never too old to set another goal or dream. That's from C.S. Lewis. So let's go. So, first of all, I'd like to take time to reflect on 2025. A lot of times we rush into a new year and we don't reflect on the last year. So, thinking about 2025, what are you grateful for? What are some moments that, filled your heart with gratitude? Also thinking about, the good and the bad, because we can learn from everything that we go through. And so thinking about, what are you grateful for? What did 2025 teach you? What are some of the lessons that you learned in 2025? And what do you want to bring into 2026? So thinking about what you want to bring and what you want to leave behind. So the other night when we had our group discussion, we talked about, bringing in like things we want to do with our families. Like I know for me, I want to bring in more uninterrupted dinner time. That's a time that is busy in our home, and so taking time. So the last few days we've just paused even for 30 minutes just to gather around the table and to talk about the day and have a meal. What do you want to bring in to the new year? I want to bring in less rushing around. So leaving the rushing and bringing more calm, more intentional time with the people that I love. Um, so what do you want to bring and what do you want to leave behind? And Melissa, since you're here live, if you wanted to chime in, is there anything you wanted to share about your gratitude for 2025 or anything you wanted to leave behind or bring?
I can't think of anything right now. I'm also working at the same time, so that
Oh, no problem. And
but I will go through this afterwards for sure.
okay, awesome. Sounds good. I know I'm just on a work break right now, so glad you're able to listen in and work. Okay. So how do you feel after 2025? So reflecting on how we're feeling. So, do you feel like energized? Do you feel happy and excited? Or do you feel drained and tired? I know for me, after 2025, I was feeling exhausted. I worked at four different jobs last year and yeah, just feeling really wiped out. I felt like it was a very rushed go year, and I'm like I don't want to feel like that again. I don't want to feel like I did at the end of 2025. I also had some health problems, and so yeah, I don't want to have that. So thinking about, how did you feel at the end of 2025? And then how do you want to feel going into 2026. So writing down, by December 2026, I feel, so I know for me, I wanted to feel lighter. I wanted to feel just more fulfilled, feeling because it's easy to just get busy and then you're like, well, what even happened last year, right? Because we can just rush from one thing to the next. So thinking about how we want to feel this year, really setting that intention as we're going forward can help us to be intentional about the year. And I know a lot of us had some really big changes with relationships and, losing loved ones and, job changes. And just there was a lot of big changes within our own group here. And so, thinking about how you want to feel going forward as you're working through those emotions and feelings from last year. What do you want to bring into 2026? So I love focusing on different areas, different topics. And so I wrote out 6 different ideas of, how where we can set goals. And of course, there's so many different topics that you could cover. So I'm going to give you some ideas, and then I would encourage you to write down your own. I don't think it's good to, have too many topics. So even if you focus on 3 to 5, I think that's a good amount where you can really focus and then you can really make progress. So, and these are in no particular order. So the first one is social. What are your social goals for the year? A lot of times we don't think about social goals, but it's really easy in the online world to be disconnected and, to lose that connection, that in-person connection. So thinking about what your social goals are. Your social goals could be, meeting with friends or joining a networking group, or going to church or going on a date with your significant other, or I know one of my friends, she has a goal to take her children, all 3 of them, out on to do one-on-one time. So thinking about, what your social goals are and how you can expand your social circle and connect with more people in person. And then the next one is intellectual. So what do you want to learn from this year? How will you expand your knowledge or your skills? Just thinking about what you want to learn. Whether it's something with your job or it's something even with your nutrition or fitness, the skill that will benefit your family. Just thinking about what you'd like to learn. I know for me, I want to learn more. I kind of paused on social media the last couple of years. I mean, I've been there, but I haven't really put much into my social media. So I want to do more of that with that. I'm ready to expand more on social media. So health and wellness. What are your health and wellness goals this year? Creating action-oriented goals to keep you motivated and keep you going. So it's really easy to create result-oriented goals. And I think result-oriented goals are great, but having action-oriented goals to help us reach those goals. They talked about this on Monday on the kickoff call for the New Year's challenge as well. So thinking about like with your health and wellness goals, like an action-oriented goal could be to go to bed at a certain time. I know my goal is between 9 and 10. That's really hard for me. I can tend to go to bed between 11 and 12. So, do you have a going to bed earlier goal, or do you have a set amount of workouts you want to do, or do you want to hit your protein or your fiber or all of your macros or your water or your fasting? So thinking about those action-oriented goals that help you stay motivated and keep going. And also with action-oriented goals, they're really measurable. So you can look back on the week and you can say, yes, I reached those goals, which is motivating to keep you going and help you to get those results. Also spiritual goals. A lot of times we don't think about our spiritual goals, connecting with God or a higher power. Just thinking about, do we want to have more prayer in our life or connecting more in scripture or maybe, in church, going to church more, but just thinking about, I know for me, I feel very led by God, and very and if I feel as more disconnected, I don't feel as guided. So that's important to me to lean into that spiritual strength. So thinking about what your goals are for that. I know for me, just having more quiet time, more quiet time to read scripture and pray, and like I say, my big thing is to have less rush this year. Then number five is financial. You know, what are your financial goals? What is your saving goal? Your paying off debt goal? Earning a certain amount of money? You know, a lot of times it's not about how much money we earn, but it's about how well we use our finances. My dad has been in the financial industry for like 40 years or something, and that was a big thing. You know, he said there's millionaires that are in debt because they're not using their money wisely. And so thinking about like how can we use, and then there's people that make like 20,000 a year that are have savings because they just are really smart with their money. So thinking about how what is our financial wellness? Because finances can cause a lot of stress and a lot of havoc on our health. And so thinking about how we can create less stress with our finances and use our finances better. And then the last one is fun. So thinking about what do you want to do for fun this year? What gets you excited? I love thinking about this. You know, when we have things to look forward to and it doesn't have to cost money. I know, you know, we've taken our kids in the car and opened up the back, you know, back seat and watch the sunset, you know, something like that. Or we could just play board games or go on a walk or, but just putting things on the calendar that get you excited and that are fun. And it's a just fun way to make memories with the people that we love. So really, you know, thinking about that fun category, because I think it's really easy to get focused on all the serious things in life and we forget to have fun. I know that's for me. Like always forget to do fun things. And so thinking about, you know, what are your fun goals this year? So this is kind of a vision. Like I say, you could have other goals I didn't add, like relationship goals. Um, so that's a big category. Also, like your business or career goals, that's another one. So thinking about, you know, just different areas in your life that you'd like to improve and you want to see results. So then this is something I love to do, and I know a lot of people do this online, picking one word for the year in 2026. So thinking about what pulls you forward. I live in the mountains, and so I love this picture. But when I'm in the mountains or in nature, it really like grounds me and helps me to think about, you know, what I want for the year. So I encourage you to think about this if you haven't already. I know on our call the other night we shared our goals or our words for the year. So if you're watching this replay, we'd love to hear your word for the year in our group chat. But here are some ideas. So, and these are some that I've used in past years, and they're great words, and there's so many more. So, joy, growth, strength, resilient, unstoppable, courage, overcomer, light, fly, love, unshakable, and strength. So, thinking about a word that pulls you forward and really helps you continue to go forward. So, my word for this year, I was talking to Teresa about this. You know, at first it was recharge or renew. Like I say, it was just a very stressful, overwhelming year. A lot of good things happened and I grew a lot. My word was growth, but with growth comes, you know, comes a lot of stress and comes a lot of challenge. And so my word for this year is light. I really want to bring light to others. I really want to feel lighter, just emotionally, physically, less stress. Yeah, so just bring a lot of a light into my life. So I would love to hear from you. You know, what is your one word that really pulls you forward? Okay, so then just thinking about being 1% better. And here's some tips that can help us be 1% better. A lot of times, it doesn't take a lot. It just takes that 1%. We've talked about the 20-mile march before in some of our trainings, and just to refresh, the 20-mile march is by just having that slow and steady pace. So, kind of the tortoise and the hare, like a real life analogy. There was a group going to the North Pole, and one group started out speeding, sprinting, and they all crashed, and a lot of them died. They didn't make it. They ran out of energy because they ran too quickly, too fast, and in those extreme conditions, they weren't able to finish their journey. And so, um, but the other group, they had a 20-mile goal to go 20 miles every single day. Whether it was good weather, whether it was bad weather, they were going to go 20 miles every single day. And then they were able to be successful, and they were able to make it through the whole journey and get to the North Pole, even though it was extreme conditions. And so thinking about and like I said, we've talked a little bit about this, but thinking about what your pace is. Um, I talked about my pace last year was definitely not sustainable. I had to pause at the end of the year. Like I say, I had some health things come up, and had to just pause because I was just fully running on fumes by the end of the year. And so thinking about what my new pace is for this year. So what is your pace? What is your 20-mile march? And your pace can be in any of those categories that we talked about, because it's really easy to run too fast. And then too, I hear this all the time, people starting new things, but and able to finish them, we want to have a good sustainable pace. So reverse engineering our goals. So where will you be in 1 year from now? So taking any goal, and we'll go with health and fitness since we're focused on that in this group. But like I say, I feel like wellness really expands to so much more than just nutrition and fitness. That's why, as a certified life coach, I really like to dive deeper into the whole, wellness as a whole person, and not just those specific things. So thinking about where we will be in 1 year, but if we are narrowing it down to our nutrition and fitness, maybe our results-oriented goal is to lift heavier. Maybe we want to be stronger, and that's our results-oriented goal. And so what would we need to do in order to reach that goal? So, adding those weightlifting workouts in, 3 times a week with Faster Way, we do those weightlifting workouts. And so then you would look at your weights. I would write them down as you're doing your workouts, and then you can gradually increase the weight so that you would gradually have more weight bearing exercises, and you would feel stronger in 1 year. That isn't as measurable. I mean, maybe you could tell in your before and after picture, but you could also, measure something like weight loss. I know that was shared in the group, and I think weight loss is a very measurable goal. There's a lot of things that determine our weight, and just like they talked about on Monday, they're smashing their scales, but it is a good measurement. And so if you take your total of what you want to lose in a year and you break it down per month and per week, and then it becomes more doable, more manageable. So, taking your big goal, or it could be like, you want to save $10,000 this year. I know that was my goal last year. So saving that, amount of money, and then you break it, you go backwards, and then you say, okay, how much do I need to save per month, per week, and then it becomes more manageable. Okay, progress, not perfection. So becoming better every day, really focusing on that progress. And that goes into our successes, focusing on successes, not failure. A lot of times I talk to my coaching clients and they're really focused on the failure. So I encourage everyone to focus on those successes. When we lean into our successes, that really helps us stay motivated versus focusing on what's not working. And then also lean into our community. as we become 1% better, having a community that lifts each other. I love our community. I love all of the comments, and when we're able to connect online or on the phone or in our group messages or even in person. I know a lot of you in person. um, but really leaning on that community for strength. And then, like I talked about with the successes, focusing on possibilities, not problems. One of my friends gave a good analogy of riding a bike in the mountains, so mountain biking. And she said, if you focus on the rocks on the path, then you'll fall over on your bike. But if you're focusing on the path ahead, looking forward, then you'll see success. And so I think that's a really good mindset, is to focusing on the possibilities, not the problems, and just knowing most things are figure outable and nothing is really permanent. Like I say, last year, kind of the end of the year was rough. But looking at it is like, okay, what can I learn from this? How can I reset? What can I do going forward? And then I can make some changes. Okay, so here's an action plan. We're almost done here. So setting our goal, so writing that goal down. If a goal isn't written down, it's just a wish. And then creating that action plan, writing down specific things to help us reach that goal. So like I say, if we have that results-oriented goal, what are specific actions that can help us reach it? And then, so number 3 is reverse engineering, like we talked about, going backwards. And then number 4 is moving forward every day with those small steps. So small steps daily lead to big results over time. And then number 5 is just never give up. Just keep going, tweaking and changing. Like I say, reflecting on the past and saying, what did you like about that? What did you not like about it? Like, how can we change? But if it's really important to you, then keep going. Of course, there are things that we need to let go of that, but I wouldn't necessarily say that's giving up. I just say it's a, change of course. Like maybe we're making some changes and going in a different direction, but still going forward towards our goals. All right, so that's it. So we've got this one day at a time. Just wanted to end with this photo. I love this picture, this analogy of climbing up a mountain. I live near the mountains, and so I think about the mountains all the time. But as we are climbing up a mountain, a lot of times the struggle is real as we're climbing, making those steps forward up the mountain. But we can look behind us and see how far we've come. And as we look behind us and see our progress, it's so motivating and encouraging. And then to look up ahead and to see like all of the support, all of the encouragement, all the strength. Like I say, we have an incredible community. And I know a lot of you, you have wonderful friends and family, and like I mentioned, God, as a strength as well to lean and look up to help us to reach our goals. So that's it. Let me see if there's any comments in the chat before I end. Um, Okay, yeah, just some note takers there. Okay. Well, thank you for joining me live or for watching the replay. I appreciate all of you and so excited for this new year. We will do these group coaching calls twice a month, and I will record one of them. So we'll do an evening one and a day one. And if you're able to make it live or watch the replay, these are here for you. So I would love to know, like, if there's any topics that you want me to dive deeper into, or I've also thought about bringing some guests on, some guest speakers. But I always love having a great discussion and hearing your thoughts. And then in the off weeks, I'll continue to do the one-on-one coaching calls as well. So we kicked off January 5th for our New Year's challenge. I'll open it up for new people on January 19th. So if you know anyone that would like to be a part of our New Year's challenge, that's working on their New Year's goals, they can join that January 19th date, and I'm happy to help them. And I also pay for referrals as well. So I always appreciate it when you refer people. So hope you have a fantastic day, and we will see you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.